Now, everybody, I want to help out my fans about next tactics. Now, like they say, bad guys will always find a way. Means they want to trick, they'll keep on tricking, they'll find another way to trick. Right? So when it comes to, oh shit, they're finding out, they're researching, and they get to that part, these people like trick people more, right, than just do the right thing and show real sales and all that kind of thing, and just do the right thing. You can make money, right? But it gets to a trickster well when apparently tricks you can make more money, right? If you don't get caught or the people don't know, right? But when it comes to now, and the government don't pick it up, and the people work in the government, they just yell and scream about things and don't pick up things behind the scene, right? And what happens is, like, someone was just talking to me about what's the difference between, what's CPU mean in a phone? What's the CPU? I know about the memory, they say memory is quicker, but what's the CPU? And the CPU in a phone, I know a little bit about computers because 20 years ago, 2000 roughly, for a while, and I grew up around computers. I knew how to build computers and get them going, and new Windows and software and all that basic stuff. But things have changed, and they've started changing rapidly around that era. But if you know your basics, you can still talk about them, which is me, right? Thanks to my dad. And so when it comes to CPU is the brain of the computer. So it functions all the rest of the functions, right? And the CPU will get hot the more it needs function. So every time you go, I want to look at this, I'll put that on the side, I want to look at this, or I want it to get it quick, right? And I want it to have a few functions, and I want those functions to come up quick on my phone. So I want to push it to go, yep, get it, right? If you want that, the speed and all that, besides the memory helps. The memory just helps with able to go grab that quicker kind of thing, but if you want it multiple, you still need the CPU. So the memory and CPU are the good things for the brain, right? And the CPU is the most important because if it fucks up, it all fucks up, right? And if it's powerful, it can do things like this compared to another phone. So here's another phone, and it has a lower CPU, same memory, and this phone has a higher CPU, same memory, and they both have the same functions. What would happen is that this one here, when you go to load one thing at a time, it'll probably keep up with this phone. Maybe two things. We'll keep up with this one. But then you'll get to the three things and you put one in the background and you've got extra things loaded up on your screen because everything you put up on an app is sitting in the background. So it puts stress on the CPU because it wants to know straight away. So it needs to be there. It wants to know you've got it there, right? And that's what the CPU is about, not about the memory. And so after two functions or three functions, your phone might be going, you got to activate another one and go, slowing down. So it could be a memory, but it could also be the CPU getting hot. If your phone's getting hot, it's the CPU going, I'm overloading. So to prevent your phone getting hot, you'll have a higher CPU if it was the same functions. If not, if you have a higher CPU, they put more functions onto it, which is what companies love to do, stress it to the max, right? But if you want to make it just so it can cruise easy and that you do things yourself, you have a way higher CPU than you need for the functions. That way your phone will always be cool and be running quite quick. But they like to have, when they get a higher CPU, they add more functions to it, right? And then you can keep it. You'll end up having phones with always a similar problem because they're always putting it to the stress limit, right? But I thought I'd explain CPUs because if you have the two same phones, after two functions or so, that one will be playing up, probably can't activate all the functions, where the other phone, which might be a little bit more dearer, with a higher CPU, would run quicker. But here's another thing about what I was just about to talk about when it comes to another scam, and you're looking up that kind of thing to get the thing and beyond. You know what China, I've seen, and a few other countries do, is that they change, because people try to get a lingo. So the CPU will say, like definitely back in the day, it used to be 100 megahertz, 200 megahertz, 1 gigahertz CPU, 1 terabyte CPU, right? That's how they do it. But then some companies go, oh, we've got to trick people because they're looking up information. They're trying to match things up. So what they do is go, well, at our company, if they look up our company and how we work, we actually change the CPU number. So it's actually, it needs to be bigger to be the same power as that one. It's a little bit like shoe size. If you ever noticed, you get a size 10 and they don't fit and another size 10 is different. That's what they do, people. So if you don't know that too, you could still be fooled when you look up the details, but going, oh, this one's the same as the China to the US. But no, right? The US one could be better than the China, or the China one could be better than the US. It depends on how they've presented, how they say how powerful something is. So now they're presented, the China presents higher number. So no, for us, a 3000 is a 2000. So we can say it's a 3000 to match the other one that looks like a 3000, but it'll actually only function as a 2000. But people won't know this until they look up research and things, and we keep all this in the background to make sure things don't happen. And yeah, we don't like to explain that. Don't forget, we're lower. They don't like to go, here's a 3000, but we're Chinese. Don't forget it's a 2000. Right? They won't put that on the box. Right? But behind the scenes, that could be found. Why is that? Right? And this is just examples. Some examples can be true, and some can be off, because as I'm speaking, is old knowledge, but some knowledge stays around. Right? Some things still stay around. So I like to accept examples and use countries and certain things that have been through these issues, and do these issues as an examples. I'm not trying to pick on anything. They're just the things that I use. And if you can find me another similar country, if you don't want to pick on yours that does the same thing, just mention it to me, and I'll be happy to mention that country instead, and 50-50 it for you. But anyway, I'll leave it there, everybody, and bye-bye.